There's a detail in the show Shogun that you may have missed, and it's most obvious here. Did you notice that? The bars of the cells are made of wood. Now, you may think this detail small and insignificant, but without giving away any spoilers, it's something that you certainly should be paying attention to. You see, the show takes place in the Edo period, and wood was the material of choice. It had cultural and aesthetic value, it was an abundant natural resource, but most importantly, it was incredibly adaptive to the climate. Now, we could argue that it was just the set designers being historically accurate with their choices, but you would be surprised to learn truly how much of the story relies on the context of place. And with the show doing such a fantastic job of environmental storytelling, I can't recommend it enough for people to start watching it. So keep an eye on the architecture of the story, and you'd be surprised just how much it foreshadows what is going to happen. I could be cherry picking a detail. Maybe that's just one thing the set designers got right. Well then, let's look at something else that makes this show so great. You may have noticed a strong aesthetic of Shogun. Think soft, welcoming interiors that often contrast the harsh events of the story and plot. And it's here we see an essential feature of Japanese architecture, the Tatami Mat, a fundamental part of many interior shots. It gives the story authenticity, while its material qualities often contribute to the atmosphere and aesthetic of many scenes. Whether it's the sound of footsteps on a tatami mat, the way light plays across the woven surface, and even the scale of it helping frame a character. It's a great example of an architectural feature adding depth to the setting. It helps bolster the story in an incredibly subtle way. It's a background piece, quietly adding its own unique material qualities to a setting filled with nuanced details. These rich and comforting interior shots of Shogun are just made better when they're paired with the exterior shots of the show. This comparison is always made better with a typical threshold condition, the Engawa. Now again, perhaps a trivial detail, but we get these incredible shots. Like this one here, a shot of two characters in an intimate moment. And it's all because of what the Engawa offers. Its ability to blend indoor and outdoor spaces, its adaptation to Japan's climate, and emphasizing a culture's harmony with nature. This show just excels at using its setting, not just as a backdrop, but as like a silent narrator that reveals character dynamics throughout every scene. However, for me, Shogun makes its most impactful moment here. Fusuma and Shoji are sliding doors and thick paper panels that make up every interior wall. Our protagonist easily breaks the wall, but there are so many ways to interpret this as well. Perhaps the world our protagonist traverses has no set boundaries. The materiality of the interior walls are seen as temporal. His lack of understanding of what governs him is different in this place. It's a layered bit that I think sets up the viewer for the expectations of the protagonist. Or maybe I'm channeling my inner English teacher and completely overanalyzing the moment. Shout out to English teachers everywhere. Please don't come after me. I love you so much. But for anyone who hasn't watched Shogun, I cannot stress enough how rewarding it is to watch the show with an eye for such details. The architecture does more than just set the scene. It weaves thematic elements and foreshadowing into like the very fabric of the story. It makes for a damn fine show, and one that I cannot recommend enough.